A that is your integer value and B that is your float value. So when you calculate this A multiplication B, that gives us the value in terms of float. Then after the term comes over to the C divided by D. Now C again that is your double and D that is your float. Now as you can see over here, float always contains lower value as compared to the double. So into the case of implicit, we will convert our data type to the double. So the answer of C divided by D will be on double. And then finally float plus double, that will assign to the variable x. Now x is integer and final answer we want that is in terms of integer. So that value is converted to the integer at the end. Float and double gives us double, and that double will automatically converted by the implicit conversion and gives us integer value. Let's see one simple program. Include stdr.h, conio.h, that is our header file, that is mandatory thing in each and every program of C. Void main, integer a, e, float bd, double c. Now expression over here, that is a equals to 5, b equals to 6, c equals to 35, d equals to 8. So e equals to a multiplied by b plus c divided by d. Now here first we will find a multiplied by b. So that gives us 5 multiplied by 6, that is 30. Now as you can see, the data type of a is integer, the data type of b that is float. So that is 30.0 when you find a multiplied by b, because b contains higher data value as compared to the a. Then after we will evaluate c divided by d. So 35 divided by 8, that gives us somewhere around 4 point something. 8 4s are 32 point some value. Now c that is your double and d that is your float. So that is in terms of double. The answer of c divided by d will be double. Now we will add 30 plus 4 point some value. But our data type final, that is converted over e, and the data type of e that is integer. So we get the answer of a multiplied by b plus c divided by d, that is somewhere around 34 point something. But the data type of e that is integer, so at the end our expression will automatically converted in terms of integer. So that gives us the final output, that is 34. So at the end we need to think about two things. The first one, the precedence of operator, and then finally we need to think about the implicit conversion or even if about the explicit conversion. Next is explicit type conversion. When we force an expression to be a specific type, that is called specific type conversion, or it is also called explicit type conversion or typecasting. Say for example integer a and float b. Now I want to add b plus 12.5. The value of b that is 5, 12.5 added to that value, that gives us 17.5. But as you can see, the variable a contains integer data type. So I want answer in terms of integer. So I need to use one operation, that is int in parenthesis, that is converted our value, that converts our value from float to the integer. So we get output that is 17 only. In place of integer, if I write float, so the value of a that will be 17.0. Now here mind well, that will not give us 17.5 because at the end our data type is integer, and using explicit operation we are converting our data into the float. So actual value that is 17.5, but if our data type of a is float, then only that gives us 17.5. But if you use float operation, that gives us 17.0 only. At present I have used integer operation, so that gives us only 17.5, which means 0.5 value will be truncated by the integer conversion. Next operation, as you can see, float average, integer n1, integer n2, and average equals to float n1 by n2. Now n1 by n2 will be 25 divided by 10, so that gives us 2.5, and that 2.5 converted into the float value, so we get answer that is 2.5. Now as you can see over here, n1 and n2 both contains data type integer. So if we use the same expression without using float operation, average equals to n1 by n2 only, so that will give you only 2.0, because 25 divided by 10, that is 2.5 mathematically, but our data type of n1 and n2, that is integer, so that gives us value 2, and the data type of average, that is float, so that value will convert our value in terms of float, that is 2.0. But at present we have used explicit conversion, so that will convert our answer in terms of float. So the final answer 25/10, that is 2.5. Let's see one program. Include stdr.h, connew.h, void main, float a, b, integer x and y, printf entered two float numbers, scanf operator, scanf function, %f, one for a and one for the b. Now what I want to do is, first I want to accept the value from the user side in terms of float, and I want to print the answer for the same variable from the same value but in terms of integer. So next I am going to convert the value in terms of integer. Now as you can see, x is integer and y is also integer, and a and b is float. So x is integer, into bracket integer, then a, so that will convert our value of a in terms of integer. Y equals to integer b. So as you can see, this is explicit conversion. We are defining that in which conversion you want to give the output. So printf after explicit conversion, value of x, %d and x, and same way after explicit conversion, value of y, get ch and bracket complete. Now the output will be, after explicit conversion, value of x is 5. If we give x equals to 5.2, that is converted into the integer, so the value of x will be 5. Same way, if you give b equals to 8.4 and you want to store that value in y in terms of integer, so 0.4 will automatically removed by the explicit operation and the value of y will be 8 only. Next is input output functions over the C. Now as we know that C programming language provides many different types of standard library functions for the input output operation. Now different languages contain different types of input output functions. Now C basically doesn't providing any kind of input output functions by itself, so that to use this input output function you need to include some files. That files are your standard input output header files that you are using into the any of the program. As you can see, stdr.h, so that is the main purpose you need to include the header file, because some of the functions are not basically provided by the C language itself, so you need to include that functions into your program via some header files, that is stdio, that is standard input output header file. Some of the basic functions are printf, scanf, get character, put character, gets and puts. Printf and scanf, that is standard input output functions. As we know that we are using for the normal input and output operation, using the printf you can print the output over the screen, and using the scanf you can accept the input from the user side. Next two are getChar and putChar, that is the character input output functions, which means to get the character from the user side and to put the character from the over the screen. Gets and puts works with the string input output operation. So basically our input output functions divided into the three different categories: standard input output functions, character recognize input output functions, and string recognize input output functions. Standard input output functions are printf and scanf. Character based input output functions are getChar and putChar, and string based input output functions are gets and puts. The first one is printf. This function provides for formatted output to the screen. In which format you want to display your output, that you can identify by the printf statement. The simple syntax is printf into round bracket in double quote control string. Now we'll see control string contains three different things. Normal printable characters, it contains escape sequences like backslash, /n, /t, something like this, and it contains format specification that always starts with modulus operator, which means modulus d, modulus f. So printf control string, then after variable name 1, variable name 2, variable name 3, which means if your statement contains three different variables, so you need to write down the variable name of 1, 2 and 3 each of that. And your control string is non-normal printable characters, that is your string. Say for example, enter the input value of A, that is the normal statement which you want to print over the screen. So that is your normal characters. Then after escape sequence always starts with backslash character. So say for example /n and /t, as we know that /n is for the new line and /t that is for the tab. And next is format specification, which always starts with modulus, %d for the integer, %f for the float. One simple example for the printf statement. Printf length equals to %d /n and then variable name length. So over here, first length which is into the double quote, that is your printable character, वो आपको आउटपुट स्क्रीन पे दिखाई देगा. Then after modulus operator, that is your format specification operator, and then after /n, that is your escape sequence, and then finally your variable 1, that is the length. Next function is scanf. This function provides for formatted input from the keyboard, which means user wants to enter its own value, then you need some function. So via the scanf you can accept the input from the user side. The syntax is same as printf, scanf into bracket control string. One more thing is over here, that is ampersand variable 1, ampersand variable 2, to identify the value of variable 1 and to identify the value of variable 2. Now here your control string only contains format specifiers, that is always starts with modulus, for example %d integer, for %f for the float, scanf %d. Here we are using 2 times %d because I want to accept value from the user side for 2 different variable. One is for the length and one is for the width. So you need to write %d or %f format specifier for individually for each and every variable you are using into the scanf function. Next function is getChar. This function is used to read characters from the user side. This is somewhat similar to the scanf. The only difference is that here you can accept input in terms of ASCII value. The syntax is character variable equals to getChar. Character variable, that is your variable type where you want to store the value which comes from the user side. Simple example, character C. So your C data type of character, that is character, and C equals to getChar bracket. So in this case getChar waits for the user to enter a character, and once user presses a character it assigns the value of that character to the variable C, that is always in terms of ASCII value. Next is putChar. This function is also used to write characters, that is somewhat similar to the printf statement, but again that writes only a character. The syntax is putChar variable name. Say for example character C equals to A and putChar C. Now in this case character A will be printed as output. Now character C equals to A, that will store a value of A in terms of ASCII, and as we know that the value of capital A, that is 65. So the value of C, that will be 65, and putChar C, that prints the ASCII value that is for the 65, that is capital A. So at the end you get output over your screen, that is capital A. One simple program to convert the uppercase word into the lowercase word or lowercase letter. Include stdio.h, include conio.h, void main, character C, C equals to getChar. Now first 2 statement identifies that you have assigned one variable character C and C equals to getChar. So using this function you are getting the value from the user side, that will store into the variable C. Then after next function is putChar to display the answer onto your screen, that is C plus 32, and then end of statement, that is getCh and end of bracket. Now putChar takes a value C plus 32. Now the value of C, if I enter C equals to A, then C will be 65 plus 32, so that will be 97, and putChar 97 will print the character that is for the ASCII value 97, and as we know that the character for the ASCII value 97, that is small a. So output will be small a if you enter capital A. Similar way, if you enter here somewhat like capital B, so that will print put char C plus 32. The ASCII value of capital B, that is 66, plus 32, that will give us 98, and the 98 value, that is the ASCII value for the small v, so that gives the value in terms of small b. So that is conversion from uppercase to the lowercase. Next is gets, that is again similar like scanf, that is similar like getchar, but the difference is that over here you can accept the whole string in not in terms of individual character. This function is used to read a string. The syntax is very much easy. Gets into bracket your string variable, which means the variable which you want to store the string data type. Next is puts. This function is used to write a string over your screen. Puts string variable. Now let's compare both of the example, gets and puts. Char name into bracket 10, which means name, that is your array which contains maximum 10 characters, and gets name. Now if we enter Ankit, then that will print the value name equals to Ankit, because the name, the value will be assigned to the name variable, that is Ankit, and then after using the gets you can read the string from the user, that is Ankit. While in terms of putting the character or puts enter your name, that will print the particular name onto your screen. So that is the simple same statement like printf. You are writing the same statement into the printf, that will also print the enter your name. In place of that you can also use a puts function. Next is formatted input output function, which means if you want to format your data in specific format, so for that purpose you need to use this format input output specification. If we want our output to be printed in some particular format, or if you want to read your input in specified way, then in that case we will use input output operation in specific format. Some of the predefined specific format are given in C languages. First we will see formatted output. Formatted output means to print the output in some specific format. The specific format is always in terms of modulus WD, where W denotes your width of number of character position, which means W, if I give W equals to 5, which